Brazil Airsoft experience. Whether we realize it or not, Airsoft is played worldwide. And we mean the real worldwide, not just Europe and North America. With some 100,000 players in Brazil alone, there is a thriving community around the sport that, to us in Europe, was very fun to check out. And today, we will share some of our experiences with you. First off, where is Airsoft actually played in Brazil? There are normal fields and stuff that you know from a regular European gameplay video. Of course, the scenery might get a bit exotic, but there are standard wooden structures to keep the game entertaining. However, thanks to FABE Brazil, the experience we had was quite different. For the first time in years of playing Airsoft, it was Brazil where we and others actually got to play the sport in active civilian areas. Now, what does that even mean? Well, the organizers were somehow able to reserve a full-on city block in the capital of Brazil, Brasilia. All that just for Airsoft. And to our surprise, the booking a block package didn't include clearing out the locals to prevent danger. They told me that they did let them know that an Airsoft game is happening in the area, and that's it. They were free to stay. No matter your perspective, that setting made up for a quite unique Airsoft experience. Now let's get through the game day. In all fairness, with the police closing off an entire city block, the situation got a bit bizarre. Imagine you step out of your house to find a bunch of tactical-looking guys shooting at each other with guns. Now, speaking of police, criminality in Brazil is notably higher than in Europe. By notable, we mean that, for example, the homicide rate is 40 times higher than in Austria. That meant the police in Brazil provided security there for the game literally by blocking off the area and staying there with us the whole time. When it comes to the game mode itself, it was a rather standard one, you know, from your regular games. With normal people living around the game, taking part in such an event gives you the feeling straight from a video game like Call of Duty Favela Mission. Anyway, you have people driving around in cars, living their day-to-day life, or simply watching the game unfold. Of course, shooting at civilians living there is strictly forbidden. However, from a safety perspective, these games are a bit risky, to say at least. As you might imagine, most of them didn't have proper eye protection. Some of them had just sunglasses, which is definitely not enough. Interesting enough though, we did not encounter any injuries throughout the whole day. Given the situation during the game, that is a big surprise to me. Take this gameplay situation. While playing, I had to crawl behind a car to take cover. All that while the same car got fixed up by a random bystander. In such situations, the chance of getting hit is undeniably higher than your average Airsoft field. Regardless of the risks, the game itself was super fun and the Brazilian community was super friendly, living the sport the same way we do anywhere around the world. We took many pictures and we met so many amazing people. Outside of the game field, Airsofters in Brazil face difficulties though. The cost of replicas makes Airsoft, as we know it, a fairly premium sport. That mostly comes down to the prices of replicas being artificially inflated by import fees and tariffs. I was told that Airsoft products are considered luxury goods and therefore 150% tax has to be paid. That is, if you have a license to import guns in the first place, which is super hard to get. Normal people like you and me have no way of bringing gun parts or guns outside the country. Now, what about the prices, you might ask? For example, an AR-type mid-range AEG can cost close to $700 and for a gas blowback pistol, you pay close to $450. Talking sniper rifles, the SSG-96 can cost about $1,200. With fees adding up to 60% of the price of the said gun, collecting Airsoft replicas requires quite some savings. Imagine paying $800 for a mid-level AEG with average of $1,500 salary in Brazil. That's a crazy difference. That's what's holding back people from getting into Airsoft in Brazil in the first place. But many find their way anyway, which is a good thing. Moreover, with Brazil not being in the spotlight of the airsoft community, the brand presence there is limited, giving fewer options to get hands-on with all sorts of replicas the same way we do in Europe. On top of that, there are only a handful of importers who bring the goods to the country, and they can basically charge as much as they want and inflate the prices even more. To make airsoft more accessible in Brazil, we partnered up with OneTech, which is a family business, and they are now importing Novridge products to Brazil at reasonable prices. So it's more accessible to all the players in the country. At the end of the day, that is the goal of ours, to make airsoft more accessible to the masses. Overall, in our experience, Brazil is a thriving and growing community that is most definitely worth experiencing if you get the opportunity. The people are extremely friendly, and there is a strong culture to the sport since the community is smaller, more enclosed, and more friendly. Speaking of security, the speed at which the organizers set up and cleared the field was unmatched. It was clearly visible that the players and the organizers didn't really want to stick around for too long, not to obstruct the environment and to prevent the people from living their lives. So that is the experience I had in Brazil. It was amazing. Now this was a little bit different video than we do usually, so if you want us to do more of these, hit the like button and let us know down in the comments, and we will bring you more information from around the world. See you in the next one.